My name is Dave Romeo, and I hold people accountable to achieving their dreams. For nearly 2 decades, I have coached business people, entrepreneurs, and salespeople, and showed them how to turn their mistakes into masterpieces. My best customers are people who are dissatisfied with their current level of sales and success and are serious about doing something to improve them. Using proven coaching lessons and strategies, I will show them and you how to be more successful in life and in business. Welcome to Focused on Success with Dave Romeo. It's not uncommon for family members to go into business with each other. After all, you have to be able to trust the people you're working with. So who better than your own family members? Well, that in and of itself is not just enough. Somebody still needs to know how to manage cash flow and profitability. Years ago, I met a woman who decided to open her own hair salon. The problem was she had no impulse control when it came to spending. What made it worse, though, was that she just wasn't spending her own money, she was also spending her elderly mother's money. In fact, things got so bad that her mother had to come out of retirement and take a job driving a cab. The business was never viable and quickly closed. That's why when Erin Woods of Handyman Matters gave me a call to resume her coaching, I felt the situation sounded too similar to the previous story. Handyman Matters had been around for 10 years, and I'd been a long-term customer. The service was terrific. I just had no idea at the time that the company wasn't making any money. When Erin first started the business 10 years earlier with her father, Bob, the idea was for her to just come on board for 1 year and get it off the ground before she would leave to pursue another field. Here it was a decade later, and the company wasn't making any money. In addition to the problems she was having, Erin had to jump in and take over the financial management of the company because, as it turns out, Bob and his wife had poured all of their life savings into this business. To complicate the situation, Erin now had to manage a team of all-male craftsmen, some of whom did not like taking direction from a woman, and her biggest opponent was her field supervisor, who she'd already had some problems with. I asked Erin to please identify her goals, and she had 4 of them. Number 1, to make the company profitable. Number 2, to repay her parents the money that they had put into the business. Number 3, to command the respect of her team. And number 4, to move the company out of her parents' basement and into a much more professional, commercial-looking building. When we come back, I'll show you the strategies that Erin used to turn around the business, regain control of the challenging workforce, and find a way to repay her parents' huge financial investment in the business.
Hi, I'm Lou Lies, the owner of Stages Planning Group. At Stages, we help our clients make smart choices about their money so that no matter what happens in the market, the world, or the economy, they have the highest probability of reaching all of their financial goals. We do this using a process called the Financial Roadmap, and then we hold our clients accountable to actually doing the work. Visit us at stagesplanning.com. Stages Planning Group. Planning for every stage.
If it bugs you, it bugs us. Tomlinson Baumberger Lawn Care, Landscape, and Pest Control. Your trusted pest control advisor. Voted among your favorite in pest control. Visit mytombaum.com.
No matter what you're doing in Lancaster County, Mix is the place to grab a bite before or after your next adventure. Swing by after playing some sports at Spooky Nook, catch up with some of your friends, or get out for a date night. Bring the family out for a Sunday lunch or test your trivia skills on Thursday nights. Enjoy any occasion with delicious food, drinks, and the friendliest service around in any of our 3 local pubs. Spend quality time with those special people in your life at Mix All-American Pub.
Hi, I'm Jeff Belomo with Belomo & Associates. People come to our estate planning and elder law firm in all phases of life. We believe in education and teaching a client what they need to know and what to expect before it happens through our free educational workshops. We understand that estate planning is more than documents. It is about relationships. At Valomo & Associates, we build relationships and we educate our clients.
The ironic thing about working with Erin is I knew she could turn around the business even before she did. I knew the first area to start with was going to be to help her improve her low self-confidence. I'll tell you the same thing I said to her. Confidence is free. You don't have to be 21 years old in order to get confidence like you do getting liquor. You don't have to have your confidence license renewed like a driver's license every 4 years. You don't have to go to college and get a diploma on the wall that says you're confident. You could just decide to be confident. And if you're going to be confident, you have to look people in the eye, you have to speak confidently, you walk confidently, you carry yourself confidently, and you make sure that every person understands that you are a confident person. You can make that decision today. In Erin's case, she improved her self-confidence by rising above difficult situations. The next area we wanted to concentrate on was discounting. A lot of salespeople confuse negotiating with discounting. They're not the same thing. Negotiating is when you trade off one thing you have for something else you want. Discounting is when you give up something you have and you get nothing new in return. Discounting is not selling. This was done to hopefully get some more work, but there's much better ways of getting work besides discounting. For example, if you follow up with your customers right after you do the work, there's a good chance they may have another job for you. Also, when the craftsmen go out on assignment, they should be looking around to see if there's anything else in need of repair. In a business like this, about 20% of the time you would expect your craftsmen to be looking around and finding something that the other customer wants to have repaired. That requires you to be proactive and paying attention. But by far, the biggest problem Erin was facing was the amount of rework that had to be redone. In other words, when craftsmen go out on an assignment, they expect that the job is done right. If they get called back by the customer because something wasn't done the way they wanted it, now they have to go back and that becomes unbillable time. They don't get paid for that time, and that means there's nobody to go out and do other work that could be billable. To complicate the situation, that means that when new customers are coming in to give new jobs that can be billable, there are now fewer craftsmen available to do that work because they're doing non-billable jobs over. When Erin checked her records, she found out that her field supervisor was causing most of the rework. Now, she'd already had problems with him because he didn't respect her authority. She also feared approaching him because she thought he might be able to take her craftsmen with him and walk out. When we return, I'll tell you exactly what happened and what Erin did to turn around her business in an amazing way.
Hi, I'm Mary Ferguson, owner of ProLook Uniform. I'd like to show you what we have in store for you.
ProLook is one of the best kept secrets in Lancaster County. If you're a chef, a doctor, a nurse, or in public safety, come to ProLook for a consistent professional look. Our embroidery and screen printing services help businesses of all sizes brand themselves.
With a store full of inventory, ProLook has what you're looking for. Let us serve you as you serve others. You are our heroes.
I'm Jack Hostetter from JB Hostetters & Sons Mountjoy, your full-service True Value hardware store, serving the public for 89 years. We are more than just a hardware store. We also have greenhouses, plumbing and electrical, paint, rental, lawn and garden equipment, TV and major appliances. And remember, we just don't sell it, we service it too. Great values with hometown service. Our customers are not just a number. We have forged many long-term relationships spanning 3 generations since 1927.
If it bugs you, it bugs us. Tomlinson Baumberger Lawn Care, Landscape, and Pest Control. Your trusted pest control advisor. Voted among your favorite in pest control. Visit mytombaum.com.
Hi, I'm David with Accounting Services of York, LLC, voted best in York the past 2 years and also recipient of Angie's List Super Service Award. Small business is our specialty. We offer both S&C Corp, bookkeeping and payroll, in addition to personal and nonprofit tax returns. For more information about us, you may visit our website, asyork.net, and remember, we'll count the beans and you enjoy the coffee.
Erin Woods of Handyman Matters in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, my superstar protege. Welcome to Focused on Success.
Thank you, Dave.
Do you remember when we first started resuming our coaching? What was going through your mind at that time?
I had taken over the business and I had spent about 1.5 years really focused on cash flow and focused on analyzing the P&L, but I had reached the point that there were parts of the P&L I didn't understand and I really needed help.
Well, I know that you told me that you had not planned to be in the business more than 1 year or so. What changed?
Well, when my dad and I started the business, I told him I'd do it for 1 year and then I was going to move on with my life. To some degree, I fell in love. I also realized that while my dad had owned a business before, it didn't necessarily mean that he was great at running this kind of business.
Well, I know you from so many different things. In fact, you've designed some of my CDs and book covers, so I know that you have an artistic bent. What was it like to go from that background to be taking care of all the financial management of this company?
It was a little bit of a surprise, but I feel like everything in my life definitely prepared me for this business. I originally wanted to be an architect. I went to school for interior design. Then I changed majors to graphic design, which gave me great abilities at estimating projects. And really the financial part was all that was missing for me. So that was my next education.
You know, I can remember back when you got to that point where you stepped in to take care of the financials, and one of the first things you did was learn to manage your cash flow. What was involved with that?
I quickly learned that I just really had a knack for managing the cash flow. I have spent a good deal of my life being a frugal person, so I knew where to cut costs, pay less for things that my franchise might be encouraging me to spend more on. So I just really analyzed how I was spending money and where I was spending it.
One thing I noticed about you, and some of my other clients do the same thing, you don't like to make a lot of snap decisions. You like to take your time, think it over, but you usually wind up making very good decisions for you. Don't you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. Another big problem, though, that was causing cash flow issues was the amount of rework. How did you get that under control? Can you explain what was going on there?
I think rework is always going to be a challenge for us. I've kind of accepted that. One of the things that we've always done, particularly on our larger jobs, myself or my general manager will go out and check on the job multiple times a week. We actually use that as a selling feature now, just so we're in the loop. We're staying on top of the craftsmen, making sure they're doing what we want them to do.
And that reminds me of something else that, because you've done so much work at our household. I remember the time I was trying to surprise my wife with a ceiling fan, and you were going to have it installed for our anniversary. And I was out at a mixer, and you were at the house before we even got home to see it. And you called up and you said, I'm looking at this job, and I'm not satisfied that it is as good as we could do it. And I said, well, I haven't seen it yet. Could we at least just wait till I get back there to check? And I looked at it. I thought it looked great. My wife looked at it. She thought it looked great. And what that told me is that you had higher standards of quality than even your customers.
That's my goal.
Well, I also remembered that you were worried when you had the field supervisor having to address him because he wasn't giving you the respect you deserve. But a lot of the rework was a result of maybe errors he was making.
I think when it came to him, the rework was mostly on bigger jobs, which is why they hurt more. It wasn't necessarily that our smaller jobs didn't have any issues, but there's always going to be a difference between what the craftsman thinks is great, what a homeowner thinks is great, what I think is great. So it's just finding the right balance.
Well, I know that you couldn't come to an agreement in that particular case and you parted ways. But that left you short one field supervisor. What did you do about that?
Since I had tried a few different field supervisors over the years. I really felt like I needed to do something different. And I had a girl in the office, her name is Heather. She had been my CSR for about 8 years at that point. And she has been the only person who's probably loved the business as much as me, maybe sometimes even more than I do. So it just seemed like the next right move was to promote her into that role and see what she could do with it.
So what have you seen ever since Heather took over that position?
Well, actually our rework has been down since then. There's not that blurry line between trying to work in the field and also manage the guys in the field and do work at the same time.
So what has happened to your relationship since the two of you had to lean on each other so closely now?
It continues to grow. I love seeing her flourish.
I remember when she first started, you described her as being like your little sister. Now I just refer to her as her awesomeness.
Right.
Because she's the interface between your customers and your business.
Yes.
And you're right, she approaches it with an owner's perspective.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, dealing with an all-male group of craftsmen, that creates a bunch of problems because obviously an owner needs to be respected. How do you approach that in your business?
I've definitely been through a number of growing pains in that area. I came into the business not expecting to be there long, so I wasn't really expecting to garner a lot of respect from the beginning. I was just kind of behind the scenes. And then as I took over in that leadership role, it was a challenge with a number of people. But I just continue to push forward.
Well, I know that you originally only planned to be in the business for a year to help get off the ground, but I think the thing that kept you there was understanding that your parents had sunk their life savings into this business. Did you feel a sense of obligation that you had to stay?
Absolutely. My dad had a business before, and he had a fair amount of money put aside for retirement. And over the years, he just kept putting more and more money into the business to the point that it actually put my parents in a really bad financial situation. And that's one of the reasons I stuck around. I knew that the business could work. It was just figuring out the pieces of the puzzle, just figuring out how to do it. And I wasn't willing to give up because I need them to be okay.
Well, that took sacrifice for you to be able to stay there, and it took a great sense of responsibility and obligation to them to make sure that they didn't lose everything that went into that business. I think another thing that has always impressed me with you is the aesthetic approach that you take to the jobs. And the fact that the craftsmen are still there working on the jobs, and you will just show up to look at it as if it was your kitchen or your bedroom or your bathroom that they were working on, to say, would I be satisfied if this was my house? Do you get a lot of resentment or feedback from the craftsmen that are working there if you come with the criticism?
In the past, it definitely caught them off guard at first. I actually prepare them for that when I'm interviewing now, so they know to expect that I will be there or Heather will be there. And actually, Heather's eye is even tougher than mine.
And that's good. Well, what kind of results have you had since you took charge of the finances, dumped the field supervisor, and focused on improving your quality?
I would say back around 2012 to 2013, we had spent a number of years losing money, but somehow we still managed to stay in business. I'm still a little surprised by that. But from 2012 to 2013, we actually had a $57,000 change in profit.
And when you say change, you went from negative to positive.
Yes.
$57,000 in 1 year.
Yes.
Huge turnaround. Now, also, how are your sales looking for the current year?
I'm kind of one of those people that good enough is never good enough. So I always keep pushing forward. We'd been hovering around 500,000 or a little bit more in sales every year, and it just wasn't acceptable to me anymore. And last year we actually had, I think, about $110,000 growth in sales over the previous year.
Excellent. You know, one thing I noticed when I was coaching you was an enormous change in your confidence level. Where did that come from?
I think struggling through a lot of hard times and surviving, not giving up.
I was surprised that you were having difficulty being confident because I was so confident in you. I knew that you were going to turn it around. Sometimes I think maybe just having somebody that believes in you could be a big turning point.
I have always said that from the beginning, you have demonstrated a belief in me that boggles my mind. And I think because you're not a part of my family, it helps me to push further because you believe in me.
And have you taken any steps to help your parents recoup some of their financial investment?
My dad is actually on the payroll now for the first time in 12 years in business.
I didn't realize it was that long. That's terrific. Okay, well, one thing I know you and I talked about for a long time was I don't normally recommend that a business invest in hard assets. When I mean hard assets, like truck or building. Now, the business had been operating out of your parents' basement for a long time, and I know that you were pushing back because you wanted to be able to go out on your own. I was very pleased with the way you did it, though, because first of all, you picked a location that was very convenient for people to see and find. Number two, it's directly across the street from one of your major suppliers, so it's probably convenient for you as well.
Yes.
It also has great visibility, so anybody who didn't know you now knows where you are. And best of all, you knew the same landlord that you had for your home, so I'm sure he gave you a good deal and you were comfortable with that relationship.
Well, the landlord happens to be a friend, so I got a great deal through him. Yeah, so it's just been really great for the business.
Well, I applaud you on that decision because while I don't always recommend it, I do recommend it. If you're going to do it, you do it the way you did it. So finally, what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs who are struggling to make a profit in their business?
I think my biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that was, I kind of had that disposition anyway. I'm comfortable with the things I don't know and asking for help. So I just really reached that point that there were things I didn't know, so I had to start asking people who might know for help.
Well, Erin, thank you so much for sharing your incredible success story, and congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you, Dave.
Do you have an idea? Looking to optimize your workflow? To attract and retain customers or members and build enduring relationships? With ever-changing new technology, finding your way to the future in business can be daunting. Let us point you in the right direction with superior technical solutions and custom designed to keep you on the cutting edge of your market. Join Skyward Thought for a brighter future.
Looking to get back to your best self after a fall or illness? Call Oakleaf Manor. We partner with some of the area's finest physical, occupational, and speech therapists who perform services on site. Whether staying week to week, a month, or more, our care program is a refreshing, affordable alternative choice for your care plan. Restore, recover, and refresh at Oakleaf Manor. Call Janie Jackson for your free assessment.
Do you own a business? Do you accept credit cards for payment? If so, then you understand the complicated and often expensive world of credit card processing. My name is Rich Horn, and I have helped find millions of dollars in lost profit for hundreds of businesses in Lancaster County, provided better service than they've ever had before, and helped simplify the process of accepting cards for payment. Please contact me for a free comprehensive analysis. I'll help you put profit back in your bottom line.
I want to tell you about a man who was driven by his love of coffee to find the perfect cup. His dissatisfaction came when he couldn't find it, and so he took that and he turned it into an entrepreneurial opportunity. Leon Miller used his passion for coffee to create Lonely Monk Coffees. And in doing so, he decided to build his business based on 3 components. Number 1, source the best coffee from all over the world. Number 2, to brew it to perfection. And number 3, to create compelling brands that people would love, including his own Monk's Blend. Once the word spread about Leon's product, orders came pouring in from other passionate people about coffee. And several local businesses even started carrying Lonely Monk coffee exclusively for their patrons. Another element of Leon's business that was very important to him was that his coffee was fairly traded. What that meant was that every step along the line, from the planting to the growing to the brewing, a fair wage had been paid to every person involved. Leon even went so far as to get a certificate from an importer showing that everyone throughout the process had been treated fairly. What is the source of your discontentment? The reason I ask that is this: every major breakthrough from the beginning of time has come from somebody saying, what could I do better and how do I do it? If we were satisfied riding around in horse and buggies, we wouldn't have automobiles today. If we were satisfied getting all of our communication from the post office, we wouldn't have phones today. What is the source of your discontentment? I challenge you to pursue it and see where it leads you. George Bernard Shaw once said, "All progress is made by the unreasonable man." Find out what's driving you nuts. Go find a way to pursue it, to perfect it, and I challenge you to make something great. So until next time, I encourage you to dream big, pursue your passions, and stay focused on success.
Is your business in need of coaching? More info at daveromeo.com.